What's up, YouTube? It's Ace the Kid here, and welcome to Ace the Kid Gaming. I'm new to YouTube, so hopefully you guys give me a warm welcome. Some of you guys might be familiar with me from seeing me post clips on social media and also streaming on Twitch a couple times throughout the week. With all that being said, let's get down into the concept of today's video. So today I'll be providing you guys with a list of Pokemon that aren't officially released by Pokemon Unite, but a wish list of Pokemon that I would love to see from Generation 9 that was released in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet added to the Pokemon Unite roster. Being said, be sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, give as much feedback as possible, and if I missed any Pokemon that you guys find to be one of your favorites, be sure to let me know in the comments below. And if you guys like any of the concepts that I provided, please be sure to share that as well. And with that being said, let's get down into our first category. For our first category, we're going to have attackers. Attackers are normally our mage-like characters, but we have a few exceptions, and my list will definitely provide that. My first one is actually a pair, which is Cerulege and Armarouge, a split evolution Pokemon that will have a similar work as Urshifu as it goes into its Rapid Strike and Single Strike form. Cerulege will be the one that takes on physical attack as far as the stats and items that he'll use, using Night Slash as his first able attack, and for Armarouge, expanding force. Night Slash being attack able to just dish out a dark slash with a little bit of range to it, expanding force, something that'll be used to slow opponents down and deal heavy damage to them at the same time. Alright, so for our next attacks, we have Cerulege's signature move in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which is Bitter Blade. Bitter Blade is a slashing attack that drains the opponent's health and restores it to the user. I think this would be a pretty good attack. Personally, I feel like Cerulege would be the Pokemon that's more used, more so than Armarouge. Armarouge's signature attack that'll be his secondary move would be Armor Cannon, which is basically just a big buster cannon. Probably would give it a lot of cooldown if they did put it into the game. I really don't see them putting one of these Pokemon in the game without the other. That's why I made it a split evolution, but personally I would love to see Armarouge a lot less than Cerulege, sadly. I would like to see added to Pokemon Unite would be King Gambit, which is a new evolution for the Bisharp line from Generation 5. Pretty strong Pokemon, definitely really popular within the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet community. His attacks that I would love to see him have would first be Night Slash and Swords Dance. Night Slash just being an area attack that kind of gives out a pulse of wind, and Swords Dance being a buff that increases the damage of his other moves along with his basic attacks. And then for his other moves, I would love to see Metal Claw and Guillotine. Metal Claw just being a multi-strike dash attack, and Guillotine being a low accuracy but very powerful one-shot block. Alright, so our next category will be defenders. Defenders are meant to hold down particular locations and kind of just be the bulk behind the team. Survivability is key when it comes to building a defender. Exactly why Garganacl or Garganical, however you choose to pronounce his name, will be the perfect Pokemon from the Paldea region to fall into this category. Very tanky, pretty good at outlasting and outliving other Pokemon, which is exactly why I chose for his first moveset to be Stealth Rock and Salt Cure. Stealth Rock working the same way it does for Duraludon and Crustle. Salt Cure working the same way it does in the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet games, where he does an initial damage and then the Pokemon that's afflicted takes burn damage for X amount of time. I think that'll be perfect for him, especially with that being a signature move. Second move set being Recovery and Earthquake. Recovery just used for him to add to his survivability in a fight, so we can continue to be that brick wall. Pretty good for holding down positions and also just outliving the opponent or the enemy team. Or you can go for the more aggressive counterpart, which would be Earthquake, having an area effect, dealing pretty big damage, and just kind of crowd control. Definitely would be a Pokemon we use if you made it into the game. Next Pokemon I'd love to see introduced in Pokemon Unite as a defender would be Bellyboat. Bellyboat will be a great defender, especially if you take into account his in-game ability in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet being Electromorphosis. Whenever he takes damage, he'll be able to deal out more damage, so kind of a kinetic type deal, which will go great with the movesets Discharge or Parabolic Charge for his first attacks. Discharge is having an area effect, being able to kind of act as crowd control, and then Parabolic Charge doing somewhat of the same thing but shorter radius, but with the added effect of healing itself from the damage. Second moveset will be Chilling Water and Thunder Wave. Chilling Water would be used to kind of drench opponents and slow them down, keeping them from getting to objectives as fast, doing a little bit of damage. Thunder Wave A bigger hindrance on the amount of time slow with no damage added to it, kind of acting is the same way Thunder Wave does in the actual Pokemon mainline game. Next category we have is the All-Arounder class. Our All-Arounders are pretty close to mid-range combat Pokemon, and our first one is Goldengo. Goldengo is a pretty special Pokemon, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet games, obtained by the special means of collecting 999 Gimme Ghoul coins. Pretty unique moveset, and it's actually a pretty all-around Pokemon, which is why it falls into the category pretty well. So the first attack I would give it is between Steel Beam and Make It Rain. Steel Beam being just a regular blast attack, somewhat similar to Solar Beam, maybe a shorter range but also a shorter cooldown. Make It Rain being an attack where coins fall around them, so it'll probably be in the general area, more of an area attack. Second attack would be between Shadow Ball and Protect. Shadow Ball just probably will work the same way it does for other Pokemon like Dragapult or Gengar, and Protect, just a general shield, protecting its teammates or protecting itself just like King Shield does for Aegislash. Alright, our next all-arounder would be my favorite Pokemon from the Paldea region, Tinkaton. Adorable little monster with a hammer that kills flying type Pokemon. It definitely deserves a spot in the Pokemon Unite game, and fans would love to see it. Its decision for its first moveset attack would be between Metal Claw, which is basically just a big swing of the heavy hammer, or a heavy slam. Probably a thrusting moment where you jump forward and slams the hammer down. It'd probably be the ideal way of thinking about that. Play rough. Another just lunge forward, beat the Pokemon up with the hammer, or brutal swing would be more of a crowd control attack where it swings the hammer in a circle back and the opponents up off of it, doing a lot of damage. Our next class would be supporters. Supporters are basically our mage-like characters that are heal, buff, debuff opponents, or help Pokemon do what they can to just advance through the game. And our first one will be Arbolivia, our first ever grass and normal type Pokemon in the Pokemon series. As far as a moveset, I see Grassy Terrain or Leak Seed being its first choice, with Grassy Terrain being an area heal effect, and Leak Seed being the attack where you latch onto an enemy Pokemon and consistently drain their health. Second set would be Strength Sipper, where you're debuffing your opponent's attack in exchange for health back, and Terrain Pulse, attack that would do more damage if your grassy terrain is currently active on the field or active in that moment. For our next supporter, we have Glamora. Glamora was the Generation 9 Champion's ace and a poison and rock type. Hasn't had one since Nihilego. First attacks would be Toxic or Toxic Spice. Toxic would attack a Pokemon directly, afflicting it with poison, burn damage, and having it kind of just build damage over time. Toxic Spikes, laying little traps that opponents can walk into and catch poison. Venom Shot, deal damage to opponents even higher if they are already poisoned. Power Gem, an attack that would kind of just like float around the user and then lock on and target Pokemon as they get in range. Our next and last category is Speedsters. Speedsters are roguelike characters that dip in and out of fights, dealing massive damage with their glass cannons. First one that comes to mind is Quaxquavel, water type Gen 9 starter, which is also my starter Pokemon for the game, and also one of my favorites based off his first form, Quaxley. Two attacks would be Aqua Step and Aqua Cutter for his first ones. Aqua Step, combo attack that gives a speed boost. Aqua Cutter, adding the blades around him to make his basic attacks even faster. Second moves would be Brick Break. Just I take it as a dashing attack, just cutting through opponents, make it a succession type thing, and liquidation, somewhat of the same thing, just instead of a fighting type affiliation. Add water to it, make it get another combo based attack. I can see them being pretty fun to add into the game. The final Pokemon we have on this list will be Kilowog Trail, an electric and flying type Pokemon, and as another speedster. Kilowog Trail is actually a pretty cool Pokemon added to the Gen 9 roster. First options will be between Tailwind and Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt will just be a regular Thunderbolt, flying past and just dropping some lightning on somebody, hawking them down. He'd be more of a pursuit type Pokemon. Tailwind would add to that aesthetic, creating an airway that boosts up all the Pokemon on his team, especially itself. Electro Ball would be kind of the same deal, where he can just hog down opponents and drop Electro Ball, or hog down many opponents, jump into a crowd and do Discharge, giving him that area effect, somewhat like how Zeraora uses Discharge. If you made it through the whole video, guess what? You're awesome. I appreciate you guys a lot. If you like the concepts that I came up with, feel free to like and leave a like below. Also, if you would like to see me continue a series of videos of this nature, go ahead and leave me a comment. If there are any Pokemon that you feel like I left out that should have been there, and I noticed that I left that attack thing right there in the corner, I'm just gonna have to leave it. But if there are any Pokemon that you guys feel like should have been in, tell me what Pokemon do you think should have been in what classes. With that being said, you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks again.